to the south coast, and we'll go with your county of Hampshire, a side which staggeringly has not lifted a county championship since 1973. I've always thought that was an incredible stat. It's been quite the drought for a club of that magnitude and size, but 2022 has the makings again of a very, very strong title contention. In terms of the transfers, Nick Gubbins from Middlesex, great piece of business, and Ben Brown, what a coup that is to get one of the most consistent and reliable wicketkeepers in the entire county circuit, slots him into that side with a seam attack consisting of the likes of Carl Abbott, Brad Wheel, Mohammed Abbas, Keith Barker, Ian Holland. What a signing he is, Harrison. What was your immediate reaction to that news, by the way?
I just couldn't believe it, to be honest, because it's different to football transfers where you can hear rumours before and you kind of get an idea. But with cricket, it just comes out of the blue. And I saw that tweet and I was like, whoa, that's really impressive. Because if I'm being picky, maybe that was a weak wicketkeeper was a weak point of the side last season, albeit we were one ball away from winning the county championship in the end against Lancashire in that final game. But that was a weak point. And now it's looking like it's sold, fingers crossed.
Most certainly does. Ben Brown, you don't get many better professionals than that in county cricket, let me just tell you. But in terms of outgoings, quite a busy off-season for Hampshire, it has to be said. Sam Northeast leaving the club to go to pastures anew in Glamorgan. We've mentioned Ajit Dale, he's gone to Gloss. Tom Scriven has gone to Leicestershire. Tom Alsop has gone on a season-long loan to Sussex. Literally today, as we record, Lewis McManus has also gone on loan to Northants on a 4-week loan. That's an initial stint that could be extended at some points. We're yet to find out that information just yet. And then Ryan Stevenson and Brad Taylor have been released from their contracts. So a busy off-season, a busy winter down on the south coast. But my goodness, does this Hampshire side look very, very strong heading into this year's championship? And Harrison, strengths and weaknesses, where do they lie with this Hampshire outfit? And how strong is their contention going to be heading into this year's county championship?
You've listed them already, but it's the pace attack is just the main strength, and it's just so good on paper. And when we saw it in action last year, it was just a joy to watch at times. I mean, Abbas took a hat trick against Middlesex in he took a hat trick and then a fifer in the space of a few balls. That was ridiculous. Keith Barker took a 7 for against Notts in the latter stage of the season after we'd been bowled out for 150. Wheel contributed throughout the season, Abbott as well. It's just so strong, and for any county side to have and sometimes for some test teams they would take that as a test attack, and you wouldn't see it as out of place, especially with Dawson or Crane as your spinner as well. It really is fantastic. Also, another strength is the captaincy and the batting of James Vince. Last season was the real highlight. The batting was poor throughout, especially in the second stage. He made a 50 or not score of above 40 every second innings, I think, of the latter stages, which were pivotal in getting Hampshire to totals that were defendable or get them past a chase. So he's another one. As I mentioned there, if I'm going to talk about a weakness, it was the batting last season away from Vince. Weatherly he made a 80 against Gloucestershire, I think, at Cheltenham, but away from that was poor. Hollands and Alsop both made tons early season, but then faded away. We had Northeast had for a bit, but then before he left, he struggled. And the others, no one found runs as such. Gubbins initially made 150 in his first couple of innings, but away from that, he then dropped off again. So that's somewhere I'm hoping that Ben Brown helps shore up this season, shore that middle to lower order up and help give them the extra runs that you give these bowlers enough runs, they will do the job for you. In terms of aspirations, which you also mentioned, obviously I think we can win it, but as any fan will. But then, as I said before, there are so many good sides that it will come down to, can you win those critical moments and come out on top in them? The chance is real, and the fact we haven't won it for so long will make these players want to win it even more, and the fans as well.
It most certainly will, Harrison. And I'll tell you what, 2022 could be the year that drought does officially come to an end. You mentioned that seam attack. Last summer, 232 wickets between Hampshire's bowlers. Absolutely staggering numbers. When you compare that to Surrey, for example, Surrey, good bowling attack on paper, they took 164 as an entire unit. So that just goes to show the caliber and strength of that unit. Abbott took 46 wickets. Abbas took 41. Keith Barker, what a legend Keith is. Love him here at the podcast. He also took 41 wickets as well. And then you've got the breakthrough specialist of Brad Wheel. You've got Mason Crane and Liam Dawson, and the options are just tantalising for Hampshire heading into this year's tournament. But then on the flip side, I would agree about the batting. And I've been doing some digging, as we usually do here on the podcast, to get some big stats for these preview shows. And in 2021, Hampshire were bowled out for less than 200 runs on 8 occasions, 3 of which they were bowled out for less than 100 runs. Now, over the course of the season, they completed 21 innings, so that's where all 10 wickets fell. So to have been bowled out for less than 200 on 8 of them, it doesn't make for pretty reading. But as you mentioned there, Harrison, Ben Brown, what a signing. And of course, the hero from the Under-19 World Cup as well, Tom Prest. He's going to be an interesting one to watch, isn't he?
Definitely. And we've seen what he can do in the ODI format. And I think he may have scored a fair few runs for the second team last summer as well. I'm not sure how much they feature. He's not in the 13-man squad for the friendly we started today, as we're recording against Loughborough University. And that doesn't include Abbas, that squad, so that's technically 14. So I think we might not see a lot of him in the red ball. If batters get in poor form or injuries happen, he may come in, but he may mainly probably feature in the Blast and One Day Cup in this year as he continues his development. Maybe a spot comes up next year for him in this red ball side.
Absolutely. We will be keeping a close eye on Tom, though, because he's a very, very talented cricketer indeed, as is a certain Fletcher Middleton. From what I've seen of Fletcher, he looks like quite the powerful hitter as well in white ball cricket. So we'll have to wait and see how those two continue to develop. But Harrison, in terms of players to watch, there's quite an obvious one from Hampshire, isn't there? Given the whole England discussion at the moment, a certain James Vince, Hampshire's leading run scorer last year with 816 runs at 40.8. Would you say it's Vincey, or is there someone else who's taken your fancy for this year's tournament?
So I'm putting my England cap on. It would be Vince, because who knows what could happen with selection heading into the summer. If anyone scores a fair few runs, you don't know what could happen. But I'm not going to go for the obvious one. I'm torn between two here. Felix Organ impressed last week in a friendly and is all-rounder, but with a bit of off spin and bat. He has opened the batting before, but he tends to find himself lower down in the order now. He's a genuine all-rounder that could help to balance the side, or if Dawson's injured, provide that option. And then also Anu and Donald, a couple of years out with injury. We don't know. I don't think he's played a bit in the friendly so far. I don't know what he's going to be like, but he's just generally probably happy to see him back, as all fans, obviously Glamorgan, his previous county as well, just want to see him play cricket and enjoy it again after such a long period off. And he could find himself opening the batting if the current openers struggle again. But those are my two. Vince is the obvious one.
Yeah, Vince is the more cliche one, but I'll tell you what, I really like the choice of an Aaron Donald, someone who we've had on the podcast. He did detail that journey back to recovery from those 2 ACL tears, but I remember him in 2019 at the Rose Bowl. He absolutely destroyed our bowling attack in the Warwickshire game, scored 173. So if an Aaron can find that kind of form, and let's not forget he also has a double century in first-class cricket for Glamorgan, yeah, he'll be a serious player to watch out for heading into the 2022 LV County Championship.